Hi, everyone. Just a quick introduction to myself. I'm Julie McNally. I'm the Vice President of Sales here at Wellstat UK. Quick introduction to Wellstat. Oh, there we go. That's us. So who are we? We are Wellstat. We're a global company. We've been in commercial real estate for over 20 years now. And we help businesses create more efficient spaces with real-time data using air quality and energy efficiency. We manage over 450 square feet of building, and we're in over 1,500 buildings globally. So I'm here today with John Hubbard, who is the Solutions Director at MSI Works, and we're here today to talk to you about the role of the Master Service Integrators in smart buildings, why they matter, and also how they integrate and the tangible benefits for building owners, tenants, and facilities managers. So thanks for joining, John. And so let's get right into it. So what, as a master service integrator, where do you fit into a smart building ecosystem?
Sorry, start with my mic first of all. So we're essentially here to bring all the moving parts together. You've got all these various systems, BMS, lighting. So I'll keep remembering to talk into this. Various systems, your BMS, lighting, IoT sensor solutions, and then you've got cloud-based platforms as well. But what we don't have without an MSI is that integral part to bring it all together, and that's what we do.
Okay, thanks, John. And here at Wellstat, we're seeing a lot more technology into buildings now, so much smart tech. And as a sensor manufacturer ourselves, we're only one part of that ecosystem. Yep. So what makes the MSI role different for the individual systems vendors?
Well, the individual systems vendors, their main concentration is around their own systems. So BMS concentrate on the HVAC control, your sensor solutions, obviously occupancy, indoor air quality, and then you have your platform providers. What the Master Systems Integrator does is we bring them all together. We ensure that every system can communicate as required, protocols are aligned, and also with that, the use cases can be achieved to what the client needs.
Mm-hmm. And what's the value of having an MSI involved at the start of every project?
So future-proofing is a key part of this. So ensuring that the system design is in place, and then from there we can make sure data flows, integrations, naming standards, and everything along that way are all incorporated. So systems integrate, you get your use cases and the final outcomes at the end of it.
And John, can you share an example with an early MSI involvement to avoid costly mistakes?
Yes, the best example I'd have would be using a campus we've worked on previously. This is new building and old building. So on the new building, we were part of this from the beginning. We were part of that early integration piece. We were managing the systems. We were dealing with all of this from that day one to ensure that the integrations come in. And then as a result of that, the client got what they needed, and everything was, commissioning was easy. It just all come together. In retrospect, we then had the old building, which was existing building. This hadn't been considered. And as a result of that, we were then facing this instance where we had to try and retrofit and remanage those systems.
Mm-hmm. Just a quick question for the audience, actually. So how many of you have experienced siloed systems that don't talk to each other? Love it. Brilliant. So, John, when you're bringing all these systems together, how do you make sure the integration is seamless?
Design is key. So those early stages, making sure we work with each of the trades to ensure that they understand what they need to do to meet the requirements of the project. So using IoT sensors, Wellstat's IoT sensors as an example, we'd work with yourselves very early on to ensure that we understand how to get the data from sensor to gateway, then to your network server, and then from there the integrations you have with other systems. So getting your information to the BMS, to a cloud-based platform. By designing early, we can ensure that everything's in place and make sure it's a successful integration.
And cybersecurity is on top of everyone's list. So how do you handle that?
We treat cybersecurity as a fundamental part of the integration. So from a device level, we ensure that encryption, secure onboarding, everything like that's all managed from the start. from a network level, we work with the CNS providers to make sure that they fully understand what needs to be achieved, what design needs to come into place, so the system owners actually can communicate with one another. And then when it comes to that cloud level, that's where the TLS certificates, PKI encryption comes into place. So you have a secure communication from start to finish.
Mm-hmm. And device communication is clearly a big part of this, and Wellstat uses LoRaWAN and Narrowband IT over the air. From your perspective, how do these two protocols compare, and what role do you think they play in integrations to make it easier and more scalable?
So LoRaWAN is great for flexibility. So to start with, once you install your gateways, you've got this network backbone, like a Wi-Fi backbone for the sensors. You can keep expanding those with ease without the need for a load of further infrastructure and all sorts of sensors. You're not limited just sensors from a single system. You can keep growing occupancy, indoor air quality, and other sensors to suit. Then you've got NB-IoT, which is more use cases we see this is great for, where you haven't got the infrastructure in place. Or, for instance, if you're in a project in the early phases where you're looking at, you need to monitor your comms rooms, for instance, understand what's going on while construction's still in place. By doing so, we can actually ensure that the data, the sensors in those areas are keeping the room healthy.
What do you think is the most common mistake that companies make?
Probably fragmentation. Like, a lot of the time, they don't consider where these systems need to come together, and this can be a big part of that. So you get these siloed systems, you're missing out on the opportunity to communicate, to bring in use cases, and it's just a lot of really just missing out on opportunities.
So what difference does it make to efficiency when sensors and systems are integrated?
So by bringing in sensors into the integration, you're improving the data that are available to the controlling area. So, for instance, looking at indoor air quality being used as part of control BMS, you're enhancing his capabilities to actually control that space, and in so improving efficiency of that control.
And how does that help the comfort for people within the building?
From a comfort point of view, again, you're taking the sensor data to ensure that the control is to a level that meets the requirements of the occupier. So whether it be occupancy or indoor air quality sensors, that data is enhancing how that level controls.
And what kind of results have been shown in the industry when these integrations are put into practice?
So from an occupancy-based control, anything up to 20% we've seen regularly across the industry, just by introducing occupancy-based control within the BMS to control heating, ventilation in spaces. You then enhance that with your CO2 air quality control on top of that, and you can achieve over 30% energy reduction. So you're meeting energy reduction and efficiency all in one.
Okay. And with energy costs so high in the UK, what gains actually means in terms of energy costs for building owners?
So if you look at it from, taking this example, HVAC energy costs often contribute about 50% towards a building. So if you look at a particular commercial building, maybe £1 million energy usage over a year. If you take half of that, you've got £500,000 in HVAC alone. So by just introducing occupancy control, take 20% off, and you've got £100,000 saving over the space of a year.
Okay. So if we look at the intelligent meeting room now, for example, how does real-time data change the way the space is controlled?
So what we have here is, so for this intelligent space, you've got your IoT sensors for seeing occupancy, people counting, and the air quality in the room. These are feeding into various systems. You've got the BMS controlling the HVAC in the space. You've got the energy management monitoring energy that within the area, and then you've got the lighting control. On top of this, you've got the workplace app, which is actually allowing employees to book a space, set their preferences to what they want that space to be. And then this data is all fed into the smart building platform.
And do you think that has an impact on the experience of the employees when they're in the office?
Yes, with this type of integration, the employees, it makes it seamless. So you take the workplace app, all they need to do is book a room. They then have the confidence that that room is going to be at the temperature they want it. It's going to have a healthy indoor air quality, CO2 levels, VOC levels in the space, and also it's going to ensure that lighting levels are as they need it. So for them, it's just they book a room, it's ready as they need it. So it makes it seamless for them.
And what role does the master service integrator play here?
So the MSI is key here. Take the smart building platform, it acts as the integral hub. The smart building platform will actually take that data from the various systems, it brings it all together, and it allows for facilitating sharing that information with the other systems to enhance their control. On top of that, it helps you enhance with fault detection and diagnostics, further analytics, and even bringing in the likes of ensuring that LEED, WELL, and other accreditations are being followed and consistently managed.
And do you think this helps with ESG reporting and investor confidence?
Without a doubt, yes. So with the ESG performance, it's all about what you can prove rather than... So by having this platform with all of this data available, we can see that the data being shared is being used, the building is actually reducing energy levels, and you're meeting criteria which is showing energy savings and enhancing the data that you can actually achieve with ESG.
So as we're coming to a close, actually, just a few more questions for John. So looking forward, where do you see this going in the next 3 to 5 years?
I would say AI is one of the key features here. There's been a lot of talk about it, but with AI being introduced into various platforms and systems, it's only going to enhance the way the buildings operate. It's allowing for improvement in efficiency, operational control, and even improvements like through understanding how the FM teams, other teams in the building can just operate as a whole.
So another question for the audience. So how many in the audience have got more than 1 or 5 dashboards in their building? Good answer. Thanks, Sam. So just one more question. So we've seen how MSIs put the glue together in smart buildings, how integration drives energy savings and comfort, and how real-time data empowers better management. But John, in one sentence, why should every smart building involve an MSI?
Because without an MSI, you don't have a smart building. You have lots of potentially smart parts of a building, but it hasn't all come together.
Thanks, John. So I think the big takeaway is that integration isn't just technical plumbing. It's about enabling long-term value, sustainability, and better experience for everyone in the building. Thank you very much for listening. If you have any questions, please answer them now.